texts 8 through 10? 7 to 9. I see. Oh, they have written the first verse. Usually then the verse with the purport is written. Okay, we'll read this verse. Hasta praptam iva atmanam hasta praptam ivatmanam harina sa pade pade harina sa pade pade Nito darshayata dhuram Nito darshayata dhuram Yavanesho adrikandaram Yavanesho drikandaram Hastapraptam ivatmanam Harina sapade pade Nito darshayata dhuram Yavana shodhrikandaram Hastapraptamivatmanam Harina sapade pade Nito darshayata dhuram Yavane shodhrikandaram Hastapraptam ivatmanam Harina sapade pade Nito darshayata dhuram Yavanesho dhrikandaram Hastapraptam ivatmanam Harina sapade pade Nito darshayata dhuram Yavanesho dhrikandaram Ivatmanam Vinasa pade pade Mothers, Hastapraptam ivatmanam Harinasa pade pade Nito darshayata dhuram Yavanesho adrikandaram Hasta in his hands Praptam reached Iva as if Atmanam himself Harina by Lord Krishna Sa he Pade pade at each step Nitaha brought Darshayata by him who was showing Duram far Yavanesha the king of the Yavanas Adri in a mountain Kandaram to a cave appearing virtually within the reach of Kalayavana's hands at every moment. Lord Hari led the king of the Yavanas far away to a mountain cave. Please repeat. Appearing virtually within reach of Kalayavana's hands at every moment. Lord Hari led the king of the Yavanas far away to a mountain cave. So, we'll read the other two verses also, right? To the purport. Then text 8. Palayanam yadukule jatasya tava nochitam iti shipran anugato nainam prayahata shubha. While chasing the Lord, the Yavana cast insults at him. Oh, I see. While chasing the Lord, the Yavana cast insults at him, saying, "You took birth in the Yadu dynasty. It's not proper for you to run away." But still, Kalayavana could not reach Lord Krishna because his sinful reactions had not been cleansed away. Text 9. Evam shipto api bhagavan pravishad girikandaram sopi pravishta tatranyam shayanam dadrishe naram. Translation. Although insulted in this way, the Supreme Lord entered the mountain cave. Kalayavana also entered, and there he saw another man lying asleep. Purport. The Lord exhibits here his opulence of renunciation. Determined to execute his plan and give his blessings to Muchukunda, the Lord ignored Kalayavana's insults and calmly proceeded with his program. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami iti namine Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desetarine Sri Chaitanya Mano Abhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapatantikam Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauru Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. What is the time now? And up to how long the class goes? 10 o'clock. So, how many of you were not born in 1982? Put your hands up. My God. So, literally before you were born, I was part of the Chowpatty congregation. In the sense, before this temple, it was there in, where is, in Car Road, in Mahaprabhu's house, there used to be this thing. Is Mahaprabhu here? He didn't come today. So, I think I came here maybe 5-6 years ago. Sometimes I feel separation and then I like to come here. So I thank Gauranga Prabhu and others for allowing me to come here, even at the risk of contaminating your consciousness. So, the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, he has unlimited plans and he carries everything out perfectly, unimpeded by anything. And of course, just like the parts of our body cannot function without our permission, or at least without the permission of the subtle body. My hand cannot slap me, it's not possible. Similarly, all the energies of Krishna, they serve Krishna, they can never conquer him. Because all these energies, although they are vast and unlimited, they are Krishna's energies, and thus can only act according to his will. Therefore, Krishna is called Satya Sankalpa, means whatever he decides, it will happen. Satya Sankalpa. His word is as good as deed, and everything proceeds. So, but the Lord is extremely, kind to all his parts and parcels. Mama evamsa jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. He accepts everybody as his parts and parcels, because the relationship between the Lord and the living entities is extremely subtle. It is described that just like from heat comes fire and light, like that from Krishna comes his external and internal energies, Bahiranga and Antaranga Shakti. There never was a time when there was only fire and after some time heat and light came. Is that possible? No. If there is fire, there is always heat and light. But still we say the heat and light came from fire. Like that, his energies are eternal, but they are all coming from Krishna. And therefore, it is only because Krishna is accepting us as his amsa, part and parcel, that we are that. Otherwise, we are not. Isn't it? Just like this is a cell phone, only if I use it like that. If I don't use it like that, it can only be a piece of plastic. So, unless Krishna recognizes as his part and parcel, we are not his part and parcel. The Mayavadis are puffed up. They say we are all Sachitananda. But we are Sachitananda only because Krishna is Sachitananda. Isn't it? Sometimes I give the example, just like if Birla family, a small baby is born, we say this is a rich baby because he is born in Birla's family, but doesn't mean he has got a bank account. Like that, we are Sachitananda because Krishna is Sachitananda. And if we reject him, then we are not Sachitananda. Just like that child leaves the father and goes out, then he is a pauper. It becomes very clear. Similarly, if we actually reject Krishna's company, then we become matter, practically matter. So our position is like that. Therefore, we are called Tatastha Shakti. We are not ontologically anything. It just depends on who we associate with. And these living entities, either in the spiritual world or in the material world, they have an eternal relation, and Krishna remembers. Like he told Arjuna, many lifetimes you have taken, you have come here, I have also come. You don't remember it, but I remember it, everything. And the Lord acts according to that relationship everywhere. And he is so kind that he never forgets. So we can understand that this Kalayavana, who is Yavana king, we don't know exactly how, at least I don't know, he started running behind Krishna, but he considered himself an enemy because of Krishna, because of his past residual sinful actions. But he must have been a great devotee because he saw Krishna. He saw Krishna and he was running after him, but Krishna was not letting him touch him. You see? And it is explained here that because his sinful reactions had not been cleansed away. In Bhagavad Gita also there is a verse, isn't it? What is that verse? No. When all these sinful activities. Yesham tu antagatam papam jananam punya karmanam te dando moha vinirmukta bhajante maam dhridavrta. Yesham tu antagatam papam. So, we have to come to the end of our sinful activities. So, we are also coming in touch with Krishna, but we are far away from Him. At least people like me, trying to be devotees, and we are able to see Krishna, others cannot see, and so many people are there, millions of people in this Bombay city, not everybody gets a chance. And we come to see Him, and devotees come, they talk to Him favorably, they look at Him, and they see Krishna is smiling at them, they are reciprocating, and still we have a long way to go. So this Kaliyavana was obviously, a great devotee, but Krishna wanted to actually finish off his sinful activities, so that he has seen Krishna, so it cannot go to waste. So, he could have finished him himself, but there was another devotee nearby, Muchukunda, who was also extraordinarily powerful, in the material world, and he had taken this boon from the demigods to sleep for a long time because he had worked for them for a long time. And because Krishna has come to the material earth, and while he is here, if Muchukunda keeps sleeping, which he was capable of sleeping for another yuga or something, and Krishna will be gone, but he wants to give him some mercy, and he wants to wake him up, but he says, okay, let me use this Kaliyavana guy who has got still, sins left, and therefore he guided him, into that place, and in that place, he was actually, he will see, he goes there, and he thinks that person is Krishna or whatever it is, he tries to attack him, and Muchukunda wakes up, and he is so much greater than Kaliyavana that by simply looking he got completely burnt. And it is to be understood that Krishna was nearby, and therefore Kaliyavana got completely freed of all his material contaminations and went back to Godhead. And then Krishna gave darshan to Muchukunda. Muchukunda had gotten up, and then finally he also gives benediction to Muchukunda that you will be, born for your last time as a Brahmana, and you'll become perfect and you'll go back to Godhead. So that's a very wonderful pastime of Krishna, and how Krishna is just, arranging these things. So Krishna's pastimes are extremely difficult to understand, and it is not possible to understand these pastimes of Krishna, not only in the spiritual world, but even in the material world. Hindus are very good at saying everything is, happening according to Krishna's will, but that is only so that they can avoid serving Krishna. If you ask them, why don't you come to this temple? Jab upar wala chahta hai tab aunga. Only for that. Suppose if somebody asked him, do you want to go to the movie? He doesn't say, oh, jab upar wala chahta hai tab jaunga. No, that he will go immediately. But if you call him for the movie, temple, he will say, oh. So that is the mentality of the material living entity, and therefore he cannot actually understand Krishna's plans. You see, sometimes I've given this example, just like, suppose you are going on the street and you find one street is blocked, and you don't know why it is blocked. You think that, somehow, my progress is being impeded. But somebody says, oh, well, Chief Minister is going this way, therefore the thing is blocked. Then you understand what is happening. So when we understand things from our viewpoint, there is no use in saying, this is all Krishna's plan. It's like, oh, the traffic is under government control, and this road is blocked, it means the government doesn't want me to go there. It's nonsense. The government doesn't even care whether you exist or not. So like that, people think whenever something happens in their life, oh, Krishna wanted this, Krishna wanted that. It is nonsense, because you don't even know what is happening. So unless you know what is happening in your life, you cannot say it is according to Krishna's will. We are so full, number one. You see? Therefore, unless and until you engage in Krishna's service, you actually cannot see things properly. That is why it is said, Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadakshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshina. So, simply people who are living by their own mental speculation, they cannot actually understand Krishna, and nor can they be peaceful because they don't understand what is happening every moment. And sometimes even, we begin our Krishna devotional life, we say, oh, Prabhu, Krishna this, Krishna that, but, it's okay. But when we do devotional service, however, that becomes true. We say, we go somewhere, oh, I was just going and suddenly this man, he came, and then I was able to talk to him and he got the book. Oh, that's Krishna mercy. Yeah, that is Krishna's mercy. You see. But of course, for a devotee, Krishna takes charge of his life. That is described in the Nectar of Devotion. Therefore, it is true that for all the devotees, when they think all the time about Krishna, it is there, but still we have to refine our vision. We have to learn to see things in Krishna's relationship. That requires extraordinary knowledge. Knowledge not obtained by reading books, but by Divyagyan Hriday Prakashito. It has to be. Krishna reveals himself, and the pure devotee of the Lord, he can actually help us understand these revelations. And then you realize, oh, the first sign of a person who is actually having Divyagyan Hriday Prakashito means he comes to realize that he is fool number one. Unless you realize that, it has taken me a long time, I'm slowly beginning to, when I joined the movement, I really thought, why is it that the whole movement can't see that I'm a pure devotee, But, that's the illusion we all have. But slowly, reality dawns. But the point is, it's taken a long time to see that whatever I knew was foolish. But, still we have to go on, what to do. You see, and so that high jnana plavena, the Krishna says there is nothing more pure than that knowledge which is actually revealed in the heart, and when that comes you will actually see that, oh, whatever I knew was wrong. So Krishna's plans are very deep. It's very difficult to know who is Krishna's devotee, who is not Krishna's devotee. You see. There is a very nice incident described in one of the literatures, probably in Chaitanya Bhagavat. In any case, so once Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda wanted to go and see Advaita Acharya, and they were swimming, in the Ganga, and they were actually going upstream. Swimming upstream, powerfully swimming and going. And suddenly, Lord, Chaitanya saw in the banks, far away there was a hut. So Lord Chaitanya said, let's stop here and let's go to the hut. And then, Nityananda said, fine. And they both went there. And when they went, they saw one, Babaji, or whatever it was. And the Babaji was, he received them very nicely. He said, oh, two young beautiful sannyasis have come, please sit down. And he said, what do you, and he said, take some fruits. And, he was, and then there was a lady also in the back who was, and then they were eating. Lord Chaitanya was taking, and Nityananda was also eating, but the Babaji saw that the Nityananda was little older than the other young boy, so then he was signing to him like that, and then Nityananda looked up and said, what? In silent language, and he said, want some, and he was offering some intoxicant, and Lord Nityananda said, no, and then that lady the back was telling him, you are spoiled, why are you spoiling them also? Young boys, they seem to be very nice and don't offer this to them. Then Lord Chaitanya was eating, so he saw something was happening, then he said, what's happening? And Nityananda didn't know what to do, and then he said, he is offering me, something. Then Lord Chaitanya said, oh my God, I cannot actually eat in this place anymore. And he stood up and he just left. And Nityananda went with him, and they again, they started swimming. And then Das Thakur writes that who knows, what great devotional services that person has done, so that even though it looks by external conditions that he was fallen, actually Lord Chaitanya went to his house and he intentionally demanded that he give him fruits, and he took. So you see, that's the Lord's kindness, that he is always actually looking out for ways in which he can bless his devotees. So it is said, therefore, that Krishna never forgets, the service that we render to him. But the point is that even though we render service, we are not able to reach fruition for various purposes. Either we have still, material desires that we seriously we are pursuing, or because we have got sinful past and some of the sins are still acting. So in this way, but tivrena bhakti-yogena, therefore it is very, very important that we should do bhakti not casually, but tivra. It is said it is tivra. Tivra means 24 hours we have to do. It has to come to that platform. So coming to that platform requires, extraordinary mercy. You can say luck, but it's causeless mercy. By that process, we actually come to the platform of, surrendering, So in Kali Yuga, same Lord Sri Krishna has come as Lord Chaitanya, and he by the way, I wanted to ask one question. Anybody here with a mathematics degree? Put your hand up. Nobody, huh? Really? What degree you have? BSc, MSc, PhD? PhD? A PhD in computer science. Now I was looking for some pure mathematician. And you did PhD from where? Anji? Really? Which year? I did it when I? Oh, you did it in 1995, because I was a little bit surprised, because I know that ladies like to decrease their age, but so 1995. What was your thesis topic? Anji? I see. Please have a seat. Oh. That's what I was going to speak on. Anyway. So, Lord Chaitanya is, very merciful. But, although he is totally merciful, it is described that when Lord Chaitanya performed his dance in Shiva Sangan, he flooded the world, the universe with love, and all the devotees drowned, but the Mayavadis were still swimming, trying to, come out of it. So it is like that. The Lord is trying to give mercy, but people are trying to, reject it. Srila Prabhupada said that we are telling people chant, chant, and they say can't, So they are not willing to chant. And so there is the number of people in the world who will not chant, who will not take prasadam, who will not read books, who will not come to the temple, it is increasing by the day. It's increasing by the day, and Kali Yuga's effect is happening, and things are becoming, more and more materialistic, and it's going very fast, as you all know. And Prabhupada said that the scientific preaching is meant for those who will not otherwise come to the temple. And how many, to our temples, ISKCON temples? In the Bombay population or the world population, what percentage do you think will not come to ISKCON temples? Large or small? Large. Practically 99.9%. Therefore, how to bring those people in is the issue. And of course, whatever knowledge that the Lord unveils to bring them, that is also of relevance to other 0.1%. So, there's something very, very interesting happening around us in science, and you should know that. And and the thing is that if you see the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that this world is unreal, but it appears factual because of Vasudeva. 111 Bhagavatam, right? First verse. You have read like that? You have the Bhagavatam first canto? Anyway, so it is very, very important. You have a watch? I'll give it back to you. Is this a clock or watch? Okay, I'll keep it like this. So, something is very interesting that is happening, and as far as my insignificant brain goes, this is an amazing plan of Lord Chaitanya to bring everybody. Anji? Oh, thank you. So, thank you. It seems like it's Lord Chaitanya's amazing plan to bring everybody who will not come into the ambit of our preaching also under our preaching ambit. So, the idea is that it is here that Krishna says, Bhagavatam first canto, first chapter, first verse, is that only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. So, although the world looks very factual, it is unreal. And the ordinary person, he cannot actually even begin to process it, because he has to go to job, he has got a house, and he's got children. How can he just think that all this is unreal? Therefore, it was possible for people to understand that the world is unreal only by taking sannyas. So Prabhupada said that, Adi Shankara said that if you don't take sannyas, don't touch Vedanta. Because before Bhaktivedanta came, Vedanta was the only thing that people knew, and that Vedanta was meant only for those who are actually willing to take the step of being unencumbered by all kinds of material attachments. Isn't it? Therefore, sarvam nashayati iti sannyasi. So, everything is gone. In fact, in the Mayavadi Sampradaya, they perform even a funeral for the person who takes sannyas. But in the bhakti tradition, it is of a different type. But in any case, the point I am trying to make is that we have to realize that the world is unreal. And of course, devotees are prone to say But Prabhupada said material world is real but temporary. How you can say it is unreal? But that's also said in the Bhagavatam. So the point is that matter is real, but material manifestations are unreal and they are temporary. This is a very difficult thing to understand. That is Vedanta. Just like if you make an apple out of plastic, the apple is unreal, but plastic is real. So, matter is real, material world is false. You see? And of course, in the 5th canto of Bhagavatam, Prabhupada says that while Mayavadis are trying to understand how this world is unreal, whether this pot is real or not, they debate, the devotee simply fills the pot with water and offers to Krishna and he is very happy and he drinks it. That is true. But nevertheless, we must actually slowly, factually come to understand matter and spirit. Vasudeve Bhagavate bhakti-yoga prayojitaha janete asu jnanam cha vairagyam yadahaitukam. If we do bhakti, we must get jnana and vairagya. And that jnana is not, against bhakti. It is actually an anga of bhakti when it is serving to actually take us away from material world and towards Krishna. And generally this knowledge that world is real is possible only for highly developed, liberated yogis. And Krishna says only they can enter into my bhakti. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati samasarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labate param. So Brahma bhuta prasannatma mad bhaktim labate param. So only when one is liberated, Krishna says one can enter this devotional service. In one morning walk on Varnashrama Dharma, Prabhupada was saying that in the Vedic times, a Brahmana, when he is initiated and he becomes Brahman realized, you see, then he can become a neophyte devotee. So when he becomes Brahman realized, we can enter neophyte devotion. That was actually Lord Chaitanya's definition. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur actually made this Kanishta, Madhyama, Uttamadhikari definition simpler. But, you see, it was, but now Lord, so actually to give up material existence is necessary for becoming a devotee. But in Kali Yuga, Krishna is so kind, he says, but you become a devotee by whatever means, and then you can actually give up. Rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. By giving up, you can give up the lower taste by getting the higher taste. So in the Kali Yuga, you can perform bhakti even if you are not liberated. And then we can actually slowly become Traigunya, Vishayaveda, Nistraigunya. We can become Nistraigunya. But what if people are not willing to do the devotional service? And they are only interested in matter. Isn't it? Most people believe matter is real. And they don't think that anything beyond matter is real. Correct? They say, we can see this table, this is here, it's real. And why should we believe there is soul or there is God? These kind of people, they have developed, by thinking matter is real, they have developed science and technology. So many things have come. They started with steam engines and printing press. And they went to then electricity and magnetism, and then they had radio, telephony, and then, DNA, RNA, and molecular genetics, and then electronics, and television, and computers, and then rockets, and atomic energy, and now cell phones, and all kinds of things are going on. So technology is becoming very, very fast and advanced. And their thing is becoming so powerful that they would even ask, you see. They would even ask that, just like I always give the example, if you see somebody on the road and he says, oh, I'm a billionaire from America, and I've got, a mansion in New York, a castle in California, an island near Japan, I've got private jet, everything. So, oh, wonderful. Where do you stay here? He says, here I am staying in Chowpatty. And you will not believe that. Similarly, that your scientists can ask you, you are saying there is milk ocean, there is Alakaloka mountain, or this or that, but in all of this, neither you can see nor I can see. God you also don't see, we also don't see, soul you don't see, we don't see, but matter we both see. About matter, if I ask you, you don't know anything, but we know. It's like saying about everything I have in America, but here I am in Chowpatty. So matter I don't know, but spirit, everything I know, I can talk. It will be very difficult to preach. Very, very difficult to preach. And so simple preaching is okay, but they are very, very clever guys. And the other day, actually, I was talking to a devotee, a very senior devotee, and he was saying about how, he said the simple argument that, you don't have the same body that you had, 7 years ago. The cells are changing. It's not the same body. But you still think you are the same person, and therefore you cannot be the body. So I gave the argument that suppose, let us say that I am made of 10,000 cells or 1,000 cells, and let's say one cell changed. So, and one cell changed, and so finally all the 1,000 cells are replaced. But when one cell is changed, then 999 cells are the same, this cell has changed. And let's say one more cell changed. And now 998 cells are same, 2 have changed with respect to the first one, but with respect to the second one, only one cell has changed. Because the second one cell was again there. So when it becomes 997, you will have again same 999 cells are same as the previous one, but only one cell. So if you are changing by one cell, always only one cell is changing, 999 cells are same. So I could say that actually, I'm the same person. So what's the argument against that? Now you might say, this is all word jugglery. Yeah, but, but that's what you're supposed to defeat. Then I asked another question. You say that the body is made of cells, and when cells change, you say you are the same, therefore you are the soul. So this is the river, and by this river, what do I mean? That water. But if I go and stand at that river, after 5 minutes, the water has completely changed. But I still say it is the same river. So does the river also have a soul? You follow? Now, you may think that, but actually, so when Prabhupada says the cells are changing, you see, Prabhupada has also answered this question. When the river is changing, is it the same river or not? That is there in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in Narada's instructions to Vyasadeva. So in this way, a lot of things are there, but we have to know, but I will leave it as a home exercise. We figure out what to do with this river thing. And so that at least I'll say that next time if you call me, I'll give the answer. That way I'll get one more chance to give a class here. So you can think about that. But I want to just make a small point, and that point is that I hope I make this point easily. I'll try to make it in about 5 minutes or something, but it's an important point. And I know that, I always get the feeling that devotees may think this is not interesting, but I think most probably you all find it interesting, who knows. So the thing is that scientists for about 400 years have gone on the idea that the objects of this world are real. And in this they are like common people. Everybody believes that if you close your eyes, there is still this table here. That's what we think it is. It's real. But suppose I take a small paper and I draw something and I just put some ink marks, and if you see, it looks like an apple. So you see an apple, but you won't think it's real, in the sense you don't believe that there is an apple on the paper. There is some ink mark on the paper, but it appears as apple. What is the difference between these two cases? We didn't know. But that is the importance of this so-called quantum mechanics. The scientists have found out that ordinary objects of this world are also the same way. Something else is there and it appears as this. In fact, this table and chair, they don't exist if you don't see them. In other words, it is only by perception that we know these objects exist. You can say that, well, even, why do you say that only when I see this, the Vyasasana is there? Of course, this is spiritual, but assuming we are outside, then the point is that, see, I can feel it still. I close my eyes, so it's still there because I can feel it. But what happens if you withdraw your sense of touch? So, according to Bhagavatam also, that if you withdraw all your senses, then the external world ceases to exist. Actually, that is the way the yogis progress. That is called pratyahara, yama niyama pratyahara. If this is hard, not because there is some hard wood, but because there is actually the fire element, air element, which when interacting with the sense of touch gives hardness and softness. It is there in the third canto of Bhagavatam. How many of you have read third canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sankhya? Put your hands up. Oh, only a few people. How many of you have not read? Put your hands up. Okay, others are sleeping. So the thing is that, so I can't tell whether they have read or not read, but at least a lot of people have not read. That's very surprising. So maybe you are still new, but third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam has this fundamental principles of material nature, Bhagavad Sankhya, and we are not to think that, oh, that's all not necessary. We will actually, go directly talk about Krishna. That is another form of Sahajiya. So these things should be known, because Krishna says, Nasate vidyate bhavo, nabhavo vidyate sataha, ubayorapi drishtanto. What is that? Tattvadarshanaha. So the thing is that those who are Tattvadarshis, who have understood spirit and matter by studying both, not just only by studying spirit. So we are not to think that this matter is unnecessary. I give the example that you have a map and you need to go to Delhi, and somebody shows this is Delhi, this is where you need to go. Fine. But you can't use the map if you don't know where you are. So we know the goal, we have to go to Goloka, but what is our current condition that keeps us from going? Material entanglement. So the matter has to be understood well, and therefore this knowledge is there in Bhagavad Sankhya. So, according to Bhagavad Sankhya, the 5 elements are there. How many elements are there? 5 elements are there. And the 5 elements, when you perceive them by the senses, and the senses are not these. The 5 senses are not these. The 5 senses are with the subtle body. Of course, there are 10, but we are talking about the Jnanendriya now. And when those senses interact with the 5 elements, then tanmatras appear, smell, taste, color, 5. And all these objects are made out of those things. Can you believe that? So, the nature of the 5 elements is that when you perceive them, they will appear to be always different from what they are. That is the nature of Maya, that which it is not. So matter always appears. Of course, we are in the temple, this is all spirit and it's real. But imagine you are outside, you see buildings and streets and everything. These are appearances, exactly like on the TV screen you see a football match or a cricket match. It's an appearance. And the reality is, of course, in the spiritual world, Urdhva Moolam Adhashakam. But ordinary people cannot understand this. You see? So by these five senses, these objects, the tanmatras appear and they are so real. The taste and the smell and the hardness and the softness, people think this must be real. So, whatever appears is not reality, then how do we think this is real? Because it is nama and rupa. You give names. Isn't it? Little baby also start in the school. There is apple and it says A for apple. And you ask the baby, what is this? He'll say apple. But it's not apple, it's a picture of apple. What is it? It's apple. That's what it is taught. Like that, from childhood we are taught, this is table, this is chair, this is daddy. See, daddy. Oh, left to himself, maybe the child will figure out this is only 5-element combination. But we tell him, so by name and form, we actually are trained in the material world to be, So, this concept, I was not bluffing when I said that's what I was going to talk about. The idea of a concept is what, the Western thinkers, they think from where the concepts come. Because when you say table, you see, there is a sound table, and there is a concept table, and there is an object table. So they actually say, how do we get these concepts and how do we attach them to the sense perceptions? It's a big issue. The idea of what are concepts, it's a very big thing. And there are different theories about what concepts are. But according to Bhagavatam, there are no concepts. I can't go into that now, that's a deep science. But what I want to say is that when they came to, I'll just say two more things. How did the scientists have figured this out? Scientists have figured this out, that this table is not real, but it's the object of perception. Mathematically, they have figured this out. And if you think they are wrong, we are wrong, because that's actually close to Bhagavatam. So they're going towards it. So, as far as matter is concerned, these guys are ustad. And they are going, how did they go? I just want to explain this a little bit. And and this is, so what it is that it's very simple. It will take only 2-3 minutes. Should I go on or it's all boring? Oh, okay. Good, thank you. I always feel like, why is he not talking about Krishna, What is all this? You see, but let me finish this idea about concepts a little bit. There was one German philosopher called Immanuel Kant, right? So he is supposed to have given one of the major ideas about concepts in the Western thought. Plato had one idea, and now in cognitive science there are different ideas. But you didn't know that there are no concepts in Bhagavatam. That's explained in a different way, without concepts. So if you can come and do research with us, then you can do, better things. And we can probably make better computer programs. Now, that apart, Kant came up with one idea. It's a big history, but he came up with one idea, and I just want to afterwards explain how scientists have figured this out. And the idea of Kant said, there is something in the world. He said, we don't know what it is. He said, he figured it out. He said that there is no table. He was a philosopher. He said, something is there. But when that something is seen by your senses, then you get what is called sense data. I see and, ears. And to this sense data, he said, you generate concepts and you add. So depending on whatever concept you put, there will be a different object. So that if a dog is looking at it, the dog will see something, sense data. We don't know what he's saying. And if baby thinks this is food. As soon as he sees, he puts it in his mouth. And you may say it's a cell phone. Somebody else may say it's a paperweight. So the same one thing, depending on which concept you apply, can become different. So this idea was there. Anyway. Now, I just want you to, I want to tell you just basically what is science. It's important. That, and then we'll finally come back to this verse. But the point is that in science, you need to know only one concept to understand where science is going. The fundamental concept in science is called a state. What is it? State. You are all in some state. Somebody is listening, somebody is sleeping, somebody is wondering when will be the prasadam. You see, so somebody is happy, somebody is sad. We all have states. And other people have some understanding of that state. Sometimes you think that person is very happy and you go and tell him, come on, let us go, to the temple. He might say, don't disturb me, no. But then he's always in a bad mood. So I thought he was in good mood, but he turned out to be in bad mood. So if your concept of the other person's state is not right, then actually it won't work. So in science, they also say that objects have states. They believe that. And they conceive in science a state. That is like you have a state and I have an opinion of your state. And if this state and that state doesn't match, science won't work. So for 300-400 years, the state that science comes up with, let's call it the physics state, and the state of the system were the same. It looked like that. And so science developed, so much technology was there. Then came this quantum mechanics at the end of last century, and still this problem has not been solved for 100 years. And that's what they were reading, that the Nobel laureate said that our work is a new way of thinking, this could change science. So we are solving that problem. We are nearly about 98% there. And if you all pray to Radha Gopinath, then the other 2% will be done very fast. So kindly pray to the Lord that, we finish this job quick. And the point is that in quantum mechanics also there is a state. Physics state. And quantum mechanics says this state is guaranteed to be different from the actual state of the object. In other words, quantum mechanics says, I have a state that's only your opinion. And it is nothing to do with what is the actual state. And you would think that in that case, the physics shouldn't work. But it works. It works so good that out of quantum mechanics, this bulb is working according to quantum mechanics, your cell phone works according to quantum mechanics, your computer, your TV, your remote, your GPS, your X-ray machine, everything, even your soap, the soap that you wash your hands with, it's all working according to quantum mechanics. It is the most fundamental theory in modern times. But this theory says that I have a conception of reality, and that is only good to describe what I see, and it won't describe reality. In other words, quantum mechanics is saying the reality is different from what you see. I'm putting it very simply. It's a deep topic, but I'm just putting. Mathematically, they have proved it, and this theory works. In other words, if you use a TV as a chair, and somebody says that this is not a chair, it's something else, but still it works. And suppose if you knew what it was, a TV, how much more you can use it? Are you following? So in this way, if this quantum mechanics in which they have an idea of reality which is only applies to what you see, and the theory guarantees that the reality is different and I don't know what it is. And if you can bring that reality in, how much more scientific technology you can produce. That is the first point. And the second point is, very importantly, everybody will now through science will understand this world is not real. Wow, that was supposed to be only accessible. And once it comes through science, everyone will believe it. Just like, even an ordinary uneducated man, he'll tell, oh, don't touch that wire, shock you'll get. Current is there. He doesn't know what is current. Current is a very advanced concept, by the way. It's not a simple thing. Science, physics is a very advanced concept. Because according to, originally they thought in physics that current is a flow of electrons, large number of electrons. But then they found out that each electron doesn't flow. So how then current can be a large number of electrons? You see? It's a big problem. And electricity is based on this. Actually, I met a vice chancellor of one technology university last week. So he asked me, what is this semantic information you are doing? Because you say it will change science and technology. How it will change? I told him, electricity will be outdated. Nobody will use electricity. They will use semantic information. He said, what? How is that possible? And I told him like this. Because electricity used to be thought as flow of electrons, but a single electron is no longer flowing, then what is happening? And that's something else. So, when scientists actually bring things, then everybody will believe in it and they'll get some intuitions, even though they may not see it. Therefore, the yogis actually could see, they could withdraw, they could see this whole world is an illusion. But we are able to actually say, we don't worry about that, we will use everything as real for Krishna. But then there is a whole 99.9% who are neither yogis nor devotees. How are they going to be delivered? So Lord Chaitanya created this science over 2000 years. And he is bringing this science which looks like going in a deadly direction, destroying everybody. He is completely in control. And he's saying, go on, and then suddenly out of that science is going to come this idea that this world is unreal. And only even devotees, we can actually give up the material existence only when you know it's unreal. Suppose you see actually a bag in the street and it contains maybe 10 crores. Normally people will take it if nobody is around, and even a devotee will think, let me take it and use it for Krishna. You see? But suppose you understand it's counterfeit, nakli, asli nahi hai. Then you know that I won't, touch it, because not only is it unreal, and if I use it like real, I'll get into trouble. So, when you realize this world is not real, although it is good enough to use it for Krishna, and it's fine, but unless you realize it's unreal, you actually cannot give it up. You'll find that although I'm engaging everything in Krishna's service, I'm not going forward. Am I right, Gauranga Prabhu? It may not be true for all of you, but only it's true for me and Gauranga. No, not Gauranga, just true for me. No, I'm just joking. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, this knowledge is relevant for all of us, but particularly relevant for those who are coming through science. So, now if we don't find it, suppose you say, oh, it is no use, and we are not interested in this, it's all only your own concoction. That's not true. Prabhupada has given specific instructions, but suppose we think like that. And if the scientists discover this semantic information, and you can go and Google, it's one of the hottest topics. The hottest topics. It's coming through so many ideas like quantum teleportation. They're struggling, the karmis. Chinese government has put $500 million into it. And, it goes on like that. And if they find it, the same thing they will use to prove that there is no soul. But if we find it, we can prove there is soul. Just like the same Sankhya, Ishvara Krishna Sankhya is atheistic, Lord Kapila Sankhya is theistic. Same thing. How is it? That's another big topic, because although the elements, names are same, their concept of elements is totally different from ours. People don't know that. So let's not worry about that. So the same thing they can use in a... So it's a race that we are going, but when it comes, actually the whole world can be, benefited. So, coming to landing now. So the thing is that in Krishna consciousness, Adav Shraddha, in the beginning there must be faith. We have faith because we have done knowingly or unknowingly good activity in the past. That's why that faith is there. But in Kali Yuga, it's going to be people who have got absolutely no faith in scriptures because they have never done any punya. Very, very, you don't know how bad it's going to become. It's all discussed in Bhagavatam, which is going to come at the end of Kali Yuga. when Lord Chaitanya appears, they will all appear in the beginning of Kali Yuga. And it is described in the Bhagavatam, in Kali Yuga, people will beget children only to eat them, because there will be no food. All that, all kinds of things will be happening now. So it's going to become very worse. But the same science will actually, the people have faith in science, Adar Shraddha. Because they believe in science, they believe in matter. So if through that science actually this knowledge, this Bhagavat, the concept of elements is given and the world is unreal, it will be extremely congenial for them to have material well-being and also have spiritual well-being. Lord Chaitanya is so kind, he's going to say, okay, you want science and technology, I'll give you better science and technology. And they'll take it, and then they will also accept it. So if you see, Srila Prabhupada, the first book that he wrote was Easy Journey to Other Planets. And that, his first book is dedicated not to his guru, but with the blessings of his guru, to the scientists of the world. Prabhupada, supposed to have criticized science so much, but he dedicated his very first book dedicated. He didn't say offered or considered. How can you dedicate something unless they have done something good? So these scientists, although they think they are doing their own work, mama vartama anuvartante manusya partha sarvasaha, actually they are carrying out the will of Krishna, because they are developing faith of the faithless people in matter. And Bhagavatam also has got matter, and when that matter comes into science, then they'll get faith in Bhagavatam. And there much more is there, but I'm just giving. So Krishna is not only, this chapter is deliverance of Muchukunda. So not only is he trying to deliver his devotees, but he is also trying to deliver his non-devotees. In fact, as Lord Chaitanya, that is his speciality, that whereas he killed Kalyavana, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya doesn't kill anybody, he liberates everybody. So, just like the animals in the forest of Jharkhand were embracing each other and crying, saying, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, the tiger was embracing the deer and crying, Krishna, Krishna. Like that animal, like people are going to be rolling on the floor and crying, saying, Krishna, Krishna. And they'll say, what is a table chair where we are saying atom, and now what we are Krishna? Because he'll say, no, according to our science it has changed. So they will go faster than us, And we should not become like Hindus. The Hindus in the beginning, when this movement came in America, they said, these are Americans, what do they know? Later when they saw that these guys don't even drink tea and coffee and this, they realized, they are very serious. They are actually better than us now. So if we think like Hindus, we are devotees, these are karmi, scientists, what do they know? Actually, Lord Chaitanya is going to deliver them in such a way that we are going to think, oh my God, we were chanting and dancing, but nothing happened. But these guys are seeing beyond ordinary eyes, they are seeing Krishna. Because they are seeing Krishna's energies. So that can happen, and we'll have to also follow them. So it is such a thing is happening. This could happen any time now. It could happen next day, tomorrow morning, it could happen next week. It's my work itself has come to that stage. And scientists are also coming, karmi scientists. So it's very, race that's going on. And, so I thought that I'll just share that. Because this theme is about delivering people. Lord Chaitanya's plans are very, very deep. Does that make any sense? It makes so much sense. He says, please stop now. So I will. I will. Any questions or comments? Yes? By the way, before you ask your question, that is Rajhamsa Prabhu, and he has got some of our scientific publications. If anybody wants to see them, you're welcome. And most of you may not know that we are doing very advanced scientific work. In fact, the Bombay, as already said, the Bhaktivedanta Institute is there in Juhu, and it is already collaborating with Bit Filani on Consciousness Studies, MS PhD. But we are also now, the Institute of Semantic Information Science and Technology is going to affiliate with Bombay University. It's an advanced stage, and we are going to be probably India's first center for giving MA by research and PhD in philosophy of science. And that will be based on Bhagavad Sankhya and Bhagavatam, and we also do comparative studies, Greek philosophy and Indian philosophy, Ishvara Krishna's philosophy, Bhagavad Sankhya and many other things. And we also do Gaudiya Vaishnavism religion based PhDs in MA. And those of you who are interested, you can get in touch with us. And where is Rajahamsa Prabhu? He went outside. I think he's somewhere there if you want to see the publications. Yes.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
I've recently started reading Bhagavatam. In the first canto, I just read, in 14 planetary system, Earth is placed in middle, where Asurs reside. Where Asurs जहाँ रहते हैं.
कौन सा?
First canto में mention है कि.
No, what is the verse number?
In the first canto, in the first book.
No, verse, chapter and verse.
Verse I don't remember.
Oh, then I cannot answer. I don't know whether it does say that. You have?
Yes, I have read that.
So why don't you tell me that?
Yeah, that's a question related to that.
No, that purport you have or what?
No, I don't have right
then
now.
What are you looking there?
It's a question I've written. Question which I had to ask.
So I thought you had Veda base on it.
No. So, in a 14 planetary system, Earth is placed in middle where Asurs reside. So, are we all Asurs, and birth after birth we are trying to liberate or falling again in the pit of Maya?
You have any doubts?
Yes. Yeah.
Of course, everybody in the material world is to greater or lesser extent asuric. Even the demigods. That is why you find Indra, he got so angry that he not only said the rain should come, he said make sure that all the cows are killed. If you see in the Krishna book, he says that. Indra became so angry that he says that, make sure that all the cows are killed. How can he kill a cow? So in that way, also when Rama was there, Lord Sita was there, Indra came in the form of a crow, and he, tried to create mischief. So asuric tendency. Little occasionally it comes. For us, occasionally bhakti comes. Then we are generally on the asuric platform generally. So, that is gradation. But I'm surprised. If you give me the actual verse, I would read it up, but the middle planetary system is asuric. In what context it says, I would like to read it, So I can't comment on that. Do you recognize this thing? Huh? Yeah, so I can't say anything. Even if I see it, I'm not sure whether I can say something. But at least if I don't see it, I cannot say anything. And that much I'm sure. But on the general topic of asuras, everybody in the material world is asuric. Less or more. For example, I don't want to go beyond that. If we take examples from very top levels, we'll get a little confused, so I won't give that example. So yes, we must think we are asuric. Normally, the non-devotee thinks that he is a devotee, and Krishna has to remind him he is not a devotee. But devotee is always thinking, I am a non-devotee, and Krishna reminds him, no, you are my devotee. So that's the difference.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah, actually, that's the thing. That's a good question. It's a good question because I know the answer. Any other good questions? No, you can pass on. Somebody else can hear and tell. Or you can come a little from the front and say.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji,
Hare
recently
Krishna.
in my college there was a debate that does God exist? So actually I daily chant and read Prabhupada books, but unfortunately I got the topic against that God does not exist. So, actually after the debate when we were just talking to friends, so I tried to convince them that God exists. So I give many examples, but they told that I don't see God, you don't see God, then how does He exist?
Exactly. That's the whole class was all about it. See, that is why we have to ask, does table exist? Forget, does God exist? That's a very important point I'll make. You see, let me say this one thing. Devotees think God created the world. Right? This is not very correct. I don't know what he's going to say. No. The point is that you have to say which world God has created. There are two worlds right here. There are two worlds consisting of tables, chairs, trees and everything. One world is created by God, another world is created by man. Sorry, and woman. These days we have to say both. Yesterday I gave class in Bombay Temple. One young girl came after the class. Young means by my age, she was 25. I'm 65, so for me she is young. So she said, why only men are giving Shashtanga? Why can't women give? I said, if you want, you can also give. I said, no problem. But the basic point is, men and women are equal, but they are not the same. They are different. So men and women is equal is not a problem, but that they are different, we must understand. That was a side point. But so the thing is that so they cannot do everything the same way. But there are two worlds here. And this is there in the first, that's why I said I'll have to give another class on this. But the point is that Krishna says in the 7th canto, I'll have to answer this question. I said, okay, no, I don't want to. I don't know about all of you. I'm hungry, but still I'll finish this. I'm joking. So I gave you the example of, I drew some ink mark on paper and you saw it as an apple or a face. The face that you see is called the phenomenal reality. What is it called? Now the external reality is ink on paper. So you have to distinguish between phenomenal world and external world. You follow? Phenomenal reality and external. So Krishna says in the 7th chapter, I will tell you the relationship between phenomenal and noumenal. Jnanam sa vijnanam, knowing which nothing shall remain unknown. This phenomenal, we don't know. How many of you have studied phenomenal in Bhagavatam? Nobody. So nobody has studied it. But the Westerners have studied it for 2000 years and they have a concept of phenomenal world, but the Bhagavat concept of phenomenal is different. So right now I'm going to tell you at least according to the Western concept. So the Westerners have figured out for a long time that the phenomenal world is what we perceive. You follow? And the real world, external world, is what exists independent of my perception. So they believe, they are better than Mayavadis, scientists, because scientists believe that there is a reality, material reality. They believe it, and that's true. Scientists believe matter is real, Mayavadis don't believe. So scientists are better than Mayavadis. So now, so even when you see this, you have to assume this is phenomenal, whatever it is, book holder, and the noumenal we believe is a book holder, but it could be something else which appears. We discussed that. Are you following now? I'm just coming to this important point. So we think that the external world is created by God and phenomenal world is created by us when we perceive. If you accept the phenomenal noumenal distinction, you have to go like that. But that's wrong. Actually, the noumenal world we don't know. And starting from the phenomenal world, I see a phenomenal thing, just like I see people running in the TV screen. I believe there are people running inside the TV screen. I would be wrong. Like that, it is wrong to think that material reality is this. We already saw it's all 5 elements appearing in it, as these objects. So the external reality is not external world, it's some other reality. And that reality and the senses are created by Krishna, and they actually create the phenomenal world. And when seeing the phenomenal world, we believe there is a real world like that. So the external world is created by who? By us, because we believe. And that is why scientists are trying to understand that external world, and they can say that's created by Big Bang. We don't care, whatever, anyway it's your creation, whatever theories you come up with it, we don't care. But the phenomenal world is created by Krishna. Because the senses are created by Krishna, the elements are created by Krishna, and the tanmatras come in their interaction, it's all done by Krishna. You are perceiving that phenomenal world. Therefore, it is very wrong to fight with scientists saying, no, Big Bang didn't create the world, God created the world. So I have I made a PowerPoint, but it's like, I don't have time to do these things, popular preaching, so I do scientific work, so I have no time. Otherwise, before I used to go everywhere and preach and, waste everybody's time. Now I don't do that. So, I have a topic, God or Big Bang, both. Because Big Bang creates the external world and God creates the phenomenal. And once you establish that, there is a great advantage. What is that? Next point. As long as you think this table and chair exist independent of you, you don't need God. I have another paper, an academic paper, Origin of Atheism. Origin of Atheism is the belief that tables and chairs exist in reality, not in appearance. Why? It's like suppose you go home or let's say, this is all temple devotees, everybody. But let's assume that, somebody is at home, every day he comes down and on the dining table there is breakfast at 8 o'clock every day. And he just eats and goes. Then there is no need for him to believe that there is a cook who is making this. I don't believe in a cook, So sun is rising, everything is, sun is setting, wind is blowing, sabjis are growing. So they say there is no God. You follow? Because everything is going on nicely. Of course, everything won't go on nicely when you die, but that's a different matter. You see? I remember a long time ago, there was one person who came and said, I'm an atheist. I remember I was in Pittsburgh. So, there's no God, he said. I said, where do you work? He said, I work in such and such company, some American company I was working. Indian boy. I told him, do you have a boss? And he said, yes. And do you get paid? He said, yeah. How much? He said, maybe $5,000 a month. I said, suppose from tomorrow you say, there is no boss. Right, at the end of the month, you will still get salary or not? He said, yes, I'll get. Why? He said, because I have a project which is 3 months, they have given time, until then they won't disturb me. So whatever I say, they'll pay me, but after the 3rd month, they'll fire me. I said, exactly like that. You have got a human body, it has got some lifetime. You can say whatever you want. You see, at the end of that life is when you'll be fired. You see. And he said, oh, like that. But I used to preach like that, I was much younger. But now I preach differently, because I was coming last time from America. In London, one fellow got in, one Britisher. And he was sitting next to me and he saw me chanting, all the time I was sitting there. And after some time he said, excuse me, he said, can I tell you something? I said, yes. And he said, I don't believe in God, he said. Because I thought I would preach to him or whatever it is, but I was just chanting. He said, I don't believe in God. So I looked at him, I said, I also don't believe in God. So that means I have advanced. Before I fought with that person, boy, arguing that, now I said, I also don't believe in God. And he was a little bit taken aback. And he sized me up for a minute, and then he said, but you are a man of the robes, he said, the Christian term. You are a man of the robes means you are a priest. I said, yeah. Then he said, how can you say that you don't believe in God? I said, you see, you don't believe in God in the sense that you don't think He exists. Correct? He said, yes, I don't believe. I said, I believe God exists, but I don't believe in Him because I am not fully surrendered. So I said, if I was fully surrendered, then I can say I believe it. So I believe in God's existence, but I don't trust Him. So I don't believe Him. You see what I was saying like that? Then he was, then later on, okay, I gave him a little book, whatever it is. So I'm saying we can argue, say anything we want. But coming back to this point, the origin of atheism, it turns out to be, and I want to I'm trying to write the paper, so we can establish it scientifically. Anyone who believes that this chair, whatever it is called, the book table, will be there even if you don't see it, you have to be an atheist. How many people believe in that this exists even if you don't see? Practically everybody. Therefore, our faith in God is komal. Why? Because, so of course we believe in God anyway, due to Sukriti, but in fact the fellow says God doesn't exist. Why? Because the world is going on whether or not there is God. Right? I give an example, just like suppose so they have found out some laws according to which they are trying to live. Suppose you go to the post box and say, what is this? There is no post office. There is no postmaster, there is no post office. I just put some stamp and the letter, then the stamp weight is acting on the letter and it will move it, that's all. Do you think the postmaster will come and say, no, I exist, No. As long as you put the letter with stamp, it will go. He doesn't care whether you believe in postmaster or not. Like that, God is so kind, He says, as long as you do something, chalega, everything will go on. So He's not going to come and say, no, I exist. Unless you happen to be Prahlad Maharaj. That is different. And then He says He exists, He will come. Yeah, of course I exist. So that's a different matter. So, for other people, the point is that as long as you think, see, something is, for us, this thing exists, you cannot prove God exists. Okay? Of course, in a debate, you have to argue differently because I give you a little time. The point is that if you see some bricks on the street, you can think that it's natural. Suppose stones forget bricks, that's man-made. Stones are there. And, it's lying on the ground. You will think it's naturally there. But the stones are arranged to be a house. You cannot say it's naturally there. And the religious people have mistakenly argued that this is design. That's a stupid argument that cannot be proven, and I don't want to go into it. Sorry. So it's an argument that, watch is there and, it cannot come by ordinary, chance. It must be this is not a good argument at all. And Prabhupada never made this argument. Something similar sounding he made, but it's very different. So the point is that if something exists, you cannot prove that somebody made it. But if something appears to be something other than what it is, that is called design, not complexity. If I take ink and then I just pour a bucket of ink on the paper, that is not design. But if that ink is arranged such that it reads like English text, then you must know that someone has designed it. So the correct design argument, I have another paper which I never published. The correct design argument is that actually the world is different from what it is. Matter appears different from what it is, and therefore it's designed. Are you following? And this we are proving through science. Why? Because scientists have only found out that the world is different from what is there, but they don't know what is there. That what is there is what we are proving. They are using the TV as a chair, but they say it's something else, but they don't know what it is. And we are showing it is a TV. So you can use it better. Are you following? So these are all deep topics. If you know all of that, then you can argue God exists. So God created the phenomenal world. So although we are following Prabhupada's, because Prabhupada criticized Big Bang, we are not following Prabhupada because if you do the Veda base, you search phenomenal creation. You will see Prabhupada never says Lord created the world. He will always say the Lord created the phenomenal world. You will see, second canto. Parikshit Maharaj inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did the Lord create the phenomenal universe? Never, how did the Lord create the universe? And the second canto of Prabhupada will write. Now I've got about 50-60 quotes. You just do Veda-based phenomenal. You will never see Prabhupada say God created the world. So we got half of Prabhupada's preaching that he attacked Big Bang, but the other half that he always said phenomenal universe was created by God, we have forgotten. You will never see any arguments published in ISKCON against Big Bang that the God created the phenomenal world. So that kind of argument, watch is very complicated. If you see a watch, then, will you believe that, it is just naturally there? No, I'll believe. So same way the world is so much ordered. I used to also make arguments, Suppose if you put a bomb, a building will come or building will be destroyed. So they said, everybody, the student said, no, if you put a bomb, you can destroy a building. Can you put a bomb and create a building? They'll say no. Then how do you think there is a Big Bang and the world came? Oh, everybody, okay. But that's all chalega. If you want to understand Bhagavatam and argue, you have to give a different argument. So what, there is another debate? But it's over. You said there is again the same topic? Huh? It's over. So you should have asked me before the debate. We'll stop here. And if you want, you can go to our website, www.bvinst.edu. BVinst is for Bhaktivedanta Institute.edu. And we have another website, www.isist.info. www.isist.info. It's a commercial break now. Now we will stop. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.